What's going on, everyone? So, when I do reviews on my channel, I normally only like to talk about games that are essentially doing something new or pushing their respective genres. This is where I like to focus on what the game is actually doing mechanically. That many other games just aren't doing, or like I said, these games are doing something interesting enough to talk about. I also only like to review games once I've completed them, so I can give my full thoughts on the whole experience instead of a partial one, because many games can continue to develop as they go along, and Hollow Knight is indeed one of those games. As you know by now.
Hey man, I got 5 kids to feed. Take him to the dentist.
So it takes me longer to complete games than most. So my reviews aren't ones to necessarily encourage you to go out and buy the game, because it most likely would have been out for months or even years by the time I've done it. But my reviews are more designed, like I said, to highlight and discuss things that the game might be doing different or is worth talking about. So on that note, let's get into Hollow Knight, a game which I consider to be a near masterpiece in its given genre. As you might already know, this is a Metroid-like title, which has the player delving into a labyrinth-like subterranean world set in an almost gothic, Tim Burton-like aesthetic, full of strange and often at times sinister-looking characters. I don't like talking about story in my reviews due to potential spoilers, and all the gameplay you've seen here is from very early on or from the official trailers. But what I will say is that the world which has been crafted in this game is absolutely incredible. One of the most unique and captivating worlds I've played in a game for a long time, to be honest. You get to meet a good assortment of characters, many of which are memorable, and many of which, no matter how many times you encounter them, can often still leave you feeling on edge. Because that's one of this game's biggest achievements. We talk about the atmosphere that Metroid titles can create, that sense of isolation, ancient history, and unease of what might lie ahead. And Hollow Knight is up there with the best, in my opinion. Even right through to the end of the game, the atmosphere in this title had me gripped, on edge, and sometimes made me so nervous that I got goosebumps. It was absolutely awesome. In many areas you can hear the clicking and shattering of the world's insect-like creatures in the background, the spine-tingle sounds of tiny spiders scuttling across the floor as you step on an egg nest that crunches and bursts open underneath your feet. And then on the reverse side, you will sometimes catch the distant chanting and mumbling of characters going about their business. And this leads me onto the sound design of the game, which is a masterclass in world building and establishing your presence within the many different environments in the game. When you first delve into this world, you are presented with what feels like an infinite number of different tunnels to progress down. And at first this can seem quite daunting, and in some ways never really leaves you. That feel of being lost never really leaves you. But that first moment, you hear the sounds of someone's voice singing away to themselves in the distance, which then slowly gets louder as you approach. Is a moment in the game which tells you instantly that this game is going to be special. And although I will add that when you first arrive at the main town, hub town of Dirtmouth, and hear the town's relaxing yet melancholy music. That too is a notification that this game has something special to offer. But regardless, after getting lost in many passages with no real map and finding another character you can speak to, that is an incredible moment, which momentarily lifts that feeling of loneliness off you and gives you hope that there is more life in these dark, eerie caverns. The way the sounds of the game can guide you, place you, and connect you with each moment of gameplay is just a triumph. And the last time I felt this was with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The sound of that game's world, and the times you'd also hear that distant sound of Kaz and his accordion calling you towards a certain direction. Although it did also remind me of that great moment in Bastion from Supergiant Games, which I want this game on the Switch, by the way, where you stumble across Zia singing to herself. In terms of sounds, Hollow Knight is truly incredible stuff and leagues above many games I've played recently, including many AAA titles, which this game certainly, feels like it, regardless of its small studio. AAA means more than just budget to me. I've read that many people have been put off playing this game because of the art style, something I personally struggle to understand, but each to their own, of course. But emotion, this game is a joy to look at, and not only that, Hollow Knight lavishes the player with lots of tiny details, details that truly serve to immerse the player in a rich, intoxicating, ancient and forlorn world, which by now, if you follow my channel, you know how much I like my little details in my games. The pitter-patter of your character's feet as he runs through water-soaked levels. Smotes of dust and dirt that fall down as you land on each platform. The movement of vines and other background foliage as you make your way through tunnels overtaken by nature. Man, it's absolutely delicious. And as I continued to play the game, I discovered even more little environment details that clearly the developer had put a lot of thought into, and for me it's certainly paid off and enriched an already deep lore soaked world that you are itching to learn about. As for the character himself, control-wise, I honestly can't think of anything that is wrong to the point where it borderlines on 2D perfection. Something you very rarely see outside of the house of Nintendo, so to speak. You can move your character around the environment with effortless ease, and the game just keeps on giving in terms of additional moves. Something, once again influenced by Metroid, and we are reminded why it's such a great mechanic, allowing you to become almost intimate with the map, after a while, rewarding you with a new move that opens up not just more avenues to adventure down, but additional playstyles that truly evolve the gameplay and game throughout its entirety. Team Cherry, the developers of Hollow Knight, have shown some great mastery for their first outing. It's absolutely blown me away. By now, you're probably wondering if I have any issues with the game, and to be fair, these are more personal issues than bad game design ones, but even then, they are few. This is not an easy game. Enemies can seem simple at first, but as the game progresses, there were some enemies that I always found a struggle. The difficulty could turn many off, I feel, which was the case with my wife, who started playing this game, was enjoying it at first, but then hit a wall she just couldn't get past due to her gaming skills. This is a hard title, not unfair hard, but can be a very skill-based title, especially against some of the bosses. This is also made harder by the death system. When you die, your spirit leaves your body and you return to the last save point you saved at. Many times through the game, I found some save points to be quite sparse, and getting to some could mean quite a tough journey through multiple areas. And if you died and forgot to save, something that was easily done, you could find yourself having to you can find yourself having to get back to your spirits to be quite challenging, with a long distance in between. There were certainly times where this got to me, and I needed to put the controller down for a moment's breather. Not game breaking, like I said, but certainly tough. Add on to that, you losing all your saved up currency, which is used to buy many things back in town. And if you don't get back to your spirit, you don't get that currency back. Or if you die before you get back to your spirit, you lose your currency again. And it could show that the death system certainly took no prisoners. I also found the progression of the game to be a little unbalanced, or perhaps unstructured is the right word to use. This was mostly down largely to the open nature of exploration in the game. The game itself not really giving you any sense of where to progress next, relying on a player's natural curiosity to lead them through. This at times often left you going to areas where you weren't essentially meant to go yet, so difficulty spikes came often, I found. This led for the story, for me, to feel a little disjointed, but still, for the most part, this freedom of exploration and discovery was refreshing, and would provide each player with a unique experience, so to speak. So, to wrap this up, Hollow Knight, in my opinion, is a near masterpiece in what the developers attempt to set out and do. And as a Metroid-like title, it in my opinion, sits up there with the best. And when I mean the best, I mean the Super Metroid-like titles of the world. And although I still rate Super Metroid above this title, just for clarity, but if someone else wanted to say that Hollow Knight was better, you wouldn't hear many arguments from me. I put around 30 hours into this game, didn't rush it at all, yet my completion rate was around 70%. The game has plenty to offer in terms of secrets, new moves and additional bosses, which will give any player who loved this title plenty to do. Hollow Knight is as AAA as you can get when it comes from indie studios, and in my mind is a must play, especially if you own a Nintendo Switch, which is what I played it on. It's just a fantastic game, and if you'd like a score, I'd happily give this title a 9 out of 10. Just a few niggles away from being a 10, but it doesn't matter. The game is absolutely incredible, and I highly recommend it. Just great stuff.